Hey DCC, and welcome to another edition of Morning Coffee. Because it's Christmas time, I wanted to talk a little bit about Christmas. So Christmas is the only kind of Christian holy day that is also like a major secular holiday. And here in the United States and probably in Europe, in some other places, it's also one of the biggest in our culture as well. And so the result is that we have these two very different celebrations, each observed by millions and millions of people at the same time, right? And the trend that we notice here in the United States is that our public festivities, right, the way that our culture celebrates Christmas in the secular sense, keeps moving further and further away from Christmas's Christian origins, right? The old way, when Christmas wasn't a major tradition and it was just breaking onto the scene, it was only observed by Christians. And so our public secular side is celebrating that in a way that keeps removing itself further and further away from its Christian origin. And so I was thinking about back in the day, in the 80s, when my mom was an interior decorator for Hallmark stores, and so her job was during different seasons, she would strike the store, and then they would take photography of that, and then the rest of the Hallmark stores would then decorate in that same way. Back before internet and all those other things that made things a little bit easier to do, she was doing it all the hard way. And so I remember having late nights where I would sit there with mom, and I was kind of her little gopher. I would just go through and help her decorate and position things and hang up art and all kinds of stuff in Waverly, Iowa. And I remember these really crappy store speakers, the ones that look like a little vent on the ceiling tile, and they were just crappy. And you would hear these songs over and over again. But back in the 80s, you'd hear tons of Joy to the World and Silent Night and Hark the Herald Angels Sing and all these songs that are, what we would consider more traditional Christmas songs, right? Christmas carols, we might call them. And then fast forward to now, right? So I'm out with my daughters, and I went to go pick up my two daughters at the airport and come back from college, and we were kind of hanging out in Denver, and we were going to this new mall that had just been built, and it was kind of outside, so you kind of walk down, almost kind of like 16th Street, but a little bit different. And so we're going through, and at every store and even piped out on the sidewalks, there were these Christmas songs, right, 24/7, constantly going on. So we're there for 2 or 3 hours, and they're going on, and it's Have a Holly Jolly Christmas and all this stuff, and you hear that like 10,000 times, right? It's crazy. And I believe that the other day I was reading through some news reports on my phone, and I was looking at this journalist who actually wrote, and he said, Christmas is the best, it is the pinnacle of secular holidays. And that kind of hit me, right? Because of course I don't always see Christmas as a secular holiday. I see it as something significant about celebrating the birth of Jesus. And so on the other hand, if I flip it, right, and I look at it from a different perspective and not my own, there's tons of people who don't go to church, who would never step foot in church, who do not call themselves Christians, who are completely unchurched, right? And yet they can't help but keep bumping in to that older, traditional Christian heritage meaning of Christmas, right? Even though they're in this secular celebration. There's still a good amount of Christmas carols that are still being played on those 24/7 Christmas radios. We have 3 channels that just play Christmas all the way straight through. I think November it starts and it doesn't end till, I don't know, sometime after New Year's. And so there's that, they keep running into this old traditional Christmas carols and different things like that. And I can't imagine what it's like to be a non-Christian secular parent who doesn't go to church, having to explain to my 4-year-old, hey, what does that song mean when it says, truly he taught us to love one another, right? Who's he? Who is this guy? Who did he teach us? And he taught us to love one another. And and so I'm sure, you probably get some answers like, oh, that's just an old Christian song. We don't really believe like that, but we know all the words because we've been singing it forever. It's just tradition, and something like that. But it pumps me up this time of year that in malls all across America and in concert halls all across America, there are literally millions of Americans who are actually hearing really good theology. I know that Wade and the band and a bunch of other people don't necessarily like Christmas songs, and there's probably varying reasons for that. But some of our older songs actually have a really, really good theological underpinning there, and so I wanted to bring one to mind. There's a Christmas carol called "Hark the Herald Angels Sing." You probably are familiar with it, have heard it. Maybe you sang it in choir. Maybe back in the day you may have even sung it in public school choir. But if we were to go to that song and ask it questions, it could teach us a lot about Jesus and the church and about God. And so I wanted to do that this morning. So let's take some time and let's first ask the song, "Hark the Herald Angels Sing," who is Jesus? And the song would answer us and say, "He's everlasting Lord, who from highest heaven comes down to be the offspring of a virgin's womb." Okay, and so what did he come to do? What is his purpose? Why did he come to earth? And it says to make God and sinners reconciled. In other words, to bring back reconciliation so that there isn't this big dark chasm of sin that falls between me and you and our God, right? And then how did he make that happen? It says he lays his glory aside, or I think it says lays his glory by, that we no more may die, right? And so there's this sense that what Jesus is doing and becoming fully human, and eventually we know that he dies for us, right? In that death, he's having it so that we no longer have to spiritually die. We're no longer having that chasm between us and God, that he bridges the gap. He cleanses us from that sin. How, so then how can we get this life? Okay, if this is available to us, how do we get it? And, the song kind of goes in, you have to have simple belief in who he is and what he's done for us. But it says that that he gives us second birth. And I love the way that the scriptures are so visual here because, what an image of second birth. You hear Paul calls it, you become a new creation, Romans chapter 6, right? There's this idea of the old has passed away. Behold, all things are become new. And that's where we get this language about birth, this new birth, this new beginning. Everything's new. You think of a newborn and you think of a toddler and you think of that growth and every little thing that fascinates them, and they have to learn how to walk and they have to learn how to talk and they have to learn who to trust and different things like that. And so there's this idea of this newness of life that comes from becoming a Christian, from taking advantage of this thing that Jesus has given us. And, not all the Christmas carols that are out there, the old ones, tell the entire story of Jesus, right? They don't all go into as great a detail as "Hark the Herald Angels Sing." But today, I wonder if you are like me, you've put off some of your Christmas shopping, and even today you're trying to figure out how to squeeze it in, even though we've got Christmas Eve services going tonight. But we're trying to figure out our last minute shopping. And so you might find yourself walking through a mall or down a city street, or maybe you're ahead of the game, right? You got everything done and you're just sitting in a coffee shop and you're relaxing. But there you are and you just listen, right? And you hear those songs, those Christmas carols, those beautiful stories of Jesus. And I want you to stop and think about the people that are around you, the people that are walking through that mall, the people that are sitting in that coffee shop with you, the people that are near you and who haven't stepped foot in a church, who don't know who this Jesus is. And I wonder if you would just pause for a moment during that time and just pray a silent prayer and think about the Holy Spirit and how the Holy Spirit could use a song, use just a few words, use some glimmer of hope that comes through this season, and allow just a spark in that person's heart to search for the meaning of life, to search for purpose. And in the end, right, the hope of the earth, Jesus, who was born, who came on the scene, right, way back there in Bethlehem, that he'll find a way into their hearts. So today, if you find yourself in one of those places and you hear those maybe to you annoying Christmas songs, listen just a little bit and then think about the people around you. And if you have time, just say a prayer and hope that there's some spark that the Holy Spirit can ignite in their heart so they can come closer to God and know him better. All right? Have a good day.